Welcome to the Indie Film Hustle Podcast, episode number 175. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. Fred DeVito.
Broadcasting from the back alley in Hollywood, it's the Indie Film Hustle Podcast, where we show you how to survive and thrive as an indie filmmaker in the jungles of the film biz. And here's your host, Alex Ferrari.
Welcome, my indie film hustlers, to another episode of the Indie Film Hustle Podcast. I am your humble host, Alex Ferrari. Now, today's show is sponsored by Audible, and if you guys are like me, I'm constantly learning and reading as many things as I can, and sometimes I can't just sit down for hours and read a book, so I love listening to audiobooks. And Audible gives you one free audiobook that you can download and listen anywhere while you're on the go, while you're doing other work, and it helps you keep that education going, keeps you learning new things, and keeps you moving forward. And I've downloaded filmmaking books, screenwriting books, inspirational books, business books, all sorts of different books that I listen to all the time. So just head over to freefilmbook.com. That's freefilmbook.com and download your free filmmaking, screenwriting, or any kind of book you'd like. So today's show is special, guys. As you guys know, I was speaking at Hollyshorts this year. I was invited back to speak with RB Botto from Stage 32, and we had an amazing talk in front of a packed house, and we spoke about every aspect of the film business you can talk about. A lot about branding, about crowdsourcing, crowdfunding, putting a movie together, and everything in between, guys. So I recorded it for you. The audio is good, not amazing, but good. But I think the information is so valuable, what we talked about and the questions we answered from the crowd, that I thought the tribe would really get a lot out of. So this is a little bit longer than a usual episode, but there's a lot of great knowledge bombs tossed in there. So definitely take a listen. You won't regret it. Enjoy. So hi guys, I'm Alex Ferrari with Indie Film Hustle. If you guys don't know who I am, which you shouldn't, but if you do, I run a community, indie film community that I've built up over the last couple years, trying to tell the truth about the film industry, which there's not a lot of. There's probably we're probably some of the few guys who actually say what really it's like to be in the film business and what it takes to kind of make it. So that's what I kind of do with Indie Film Hustle. I have a podcast that's very popular right now on iTunes called the Indie Film Hustle Podcast as well, and built up a pretty decent social media following for one guy doing pretty much everything. So I got a good handle on what it takes to build a community and what it is to maintain a community. And I just released last week. I released my first feature film called This Is Meg, which is on iTunes. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how we came from the script idea. 3 weeks later, we casted. A few weeks later, we shot. We shot the whole movie in 8 days. Crowdfunded it after we started shooting it. Did it for a very low budget, and how we've taken it all the way from premiere to self-distribution and what I did to do it, how I got up there as well. And it's also the closing night film here at Hollyshorts this year. So that's a little bit about me. Yes?
Can you move your mic up a little bit?
How about now? Oh, hey.
Thank you.
Much better. All right. Go ahead. Thank you, sir.
I'm RB Botto. You guys probably know me as RB, the founder and CEO of Stage 32. I'm also a producer and a screenwriter and an actor from time to time. I started as an actor, but I don't do it as much anymore. Also, just wrote a book on film crowdsourcing, which is the first of its kind. It's going to be released by Focal Press next month under the American Film Market banner called Crowdsourcing for Filmmakers. And it's different than a crowdfunding thing. We can talk a little bit about that. Mm-hmm. Crowdfunding and crowdsourcing are two different things. And that's why this book was important for me to write, and why I was thrilled that Focal asked me to write it. So we can talk a little bit about that as well. We can talk a little bit about audience building, and we can talk about what it is to be in the business today and controlling your own content. I'm assuming, how many people here are filmmakers? Good, okay, I had a feeling.
We're in the right room.
We're in the right room. So you guys probably know already a little bit about the challenges and how important it is to control your own content, especially in this day and age. So we'll talk about that. We did this last year. I don't know how many of you were here last year. If you were, we had a blast doing it. Mm-hmm. What made it a lot of fun was that it was very interactive. So don't be afraid. We're not up here to just, ramble on for 2 hours. We want to hear your questions.
No, we can ramble.
We can.
We absolutely can.
You guys would probably be closing the hotel and still be up there in the dark. But feel free to ask any questions you have along the way. You don't have to wait for a Q&A session. If there's something that we say that you think is bullshit, or you want to challenge us on it, or you just have questions about it, feel free to ask.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're on a couch for God's sake, so.
They did bring in a couch just for us.
I don't know if you saw that. They brought the couch out for us, so we're kind of laid back, so it's all right.
So like in our living room.
Exactly. So where do you want to start?
I think we should talk a little bit about, why don't we talk a little bit about This Is Meg, because it's Alex put this film together. It's funny. The way that he put it together, he already said he shot it in 8 days. This was a project that from the beginning, because I remember when Alex was talking about this project, he was talking about how he wanted full control. He wanted full control of every aspect of this. And part of that, to me, and you can talk a little bit more about it, was the fact that, you spent a lot of time building your audience ahead of time, not just for Indie Film Hustle, but letting people know that you were going to be doing this film so that it wasn't just that he sprung this upon his audience, but that there was an anticipation. So maybe you talk a little bit about how you prepared your audience and, got them primed for this film even before you shot a frame.
So basically, I'm sure everybody here has gone through the system, the Hollywood system a little bit, and they're like, oh, the money's about to drop, and oh, you're attached to this project, and that actor's just about to sign that letter of intent. And it was one too many of those, and I just finally snapped, and I just said, screw it, I'm just gonna go make a movie. I got a camera, I got some friends who are actors, let's just go make a movie. So I called up my friend Jean-Michel Millian, who's the lead of it, and she's the writer of the movie, and I said, I wanna make a movie, a really raw, truthful movie about what it's like to be a female comic / actress in LA who happens not to be 21. And I wanted to show what that's really like. And she's like, all right, let's do it. And we came up with the scriptment, which is not a script, which is a very detailed outline.
Also not a word.
It is actually, it's trademarked.
It's a word?
It's trademarked, I trademarked it. So a scriptment, basically, which is a very detailed outline, because her friends are all really amazing improv actors. So we're like, hey, look, let's just bring them in, let them do their thing, and I'll just be there to capture the lightning. And we did. I think 3 weeks after that, we had the scriptment. We cast it 2 days later. We started shooting a couple weeks later after that. I DP'd it myself. I edited it. I was the colorist. I was the producer, and the list goes on. I don't want to. It's ridiculous.
A fluffer.
I was the fluffer, yes. And I actually, if you look on the credits, you'll see 2 credits, because I kind of get tired sometimes just seeing my name on credits. So I've made up characters who have their own IMDb page. So they both, I couldn't believe I got away with this. If you type up Mongo Wilder on IMDb, that's me. And my favorite is Jalapeno Humperdinck. I could not believe Jalapeno Humperdinck got on IMDb, but you can look it up. He was the, I think, post-production supervisor.
Fantastic talent. It's a fantastic.
So anyway, we shot the movie in 8 days over a course of 6 weeks based around the actor's schedule. 2-camera shoot, 3-man crew. Basically, I had a recorder, a mic, and 2 Blackmagic 2.5K cameras. Shot it, edited it in about 3 weeks, color graded it in about another month. Since I was the DP, I wanted to make sure my shit looked good, so I took my time. Premiered at Cinequest this last year, and then we were waiting for Holly to do a LA premiere, and Danny and Theo were gracious enough to allow me to close the festival. And a nice little bit of trivia is my first short film was in the first Hollyshorts. So it was a full circle. And that's what Danny and Theo were like, this is great, I'm going to do that. So the entire process, I just tired of everybody giving me permission to make a movie. And I think everybody in this room feels that. Like, oh, we have to go and pitch, or we've got to go and ask for money from a producer or a studio. And I was like, you know what, in today's world, it's not as necessary if you're smart about it. You're going to go make Star Wars, this is not going to work for you. But if you're making Meg is a dramedy, basically. Very small, few locations, and we kind of just worked around our limitations and told the story around that. Having complete control of it. And by the way, we also crowdfunded it through my audience. Now, and to go back to what you were saying about building an audience, I built my audience up to that point. It was a year that I had built up, and it takes a lot longer than a year, but I'm kind of nuts and I'm kind of crazy. So and RB will be the first to tell you that I work really hard, and I pump out a lot of content, and I do a lot of work to build up my audience and help people at the end of the day. So I started talking little by little. I said, guys, I'm making a movie, and I actually called it out in January. I said, I'm making a movie. I don't know when I'm making a movie. It's going to happen this year. So I kind of put myself out there. And in June, we were shooting. It's that simple. And slowly but surely, I kept talking about it and talking. So I do articles about the crowdfunding about it, and started educating my audience about my process and being very honest and truthful about what happened along the way. And it's invaluable to actually see a case study, kind of like a crash test dummy for this process. And I did not, the biggest piece of advice I could give everybody in the room is not to attach yourself to the outcome. The second I did not attach myself to the outcome and going, oh, this movie needs to do this for me, or I need to get an agent out of this, or I need to get my next, I honestly don't care. It's my art, I put it out there, let's see what happens. And just floated her out there and see, and she's getting, talk about it but my film's getting good reviews, people enjoy it, people like it, they like the honesty of it. Is it the greatest movie of all time? No, but it's a fun little movie that we did, and I was able to go through the whole process. And now I also self-distributed it through a company called Distributor. And Nick, the CEO, and we partnered up on it. And those guys they're an aggregator, and they allow you to go directly to all the streaming platforms, which you couldn't get to, like Netflix, like Hulu, like iTunes. You can't call up iTunes and get your movie in. You need to go through an aggregator. And they did so wonderful. And now I've literally just launched it last week. And now telling them, okay, guys, these are the sales, and this is what I did. This is the strategy I use. Will it work? I don't know. Let's see what happens over the next month, and so on. So that's basically been the process of This Is Meg, and I can stop talking about this movie now.
No, I mean, it was all great. I think the one gold nugget, there's a lot of information in them, so the one gold nugget that I took away from that was you knew what your goal was. You wanted to control your own content. Like you said, you didn't go in with the idea of, let me get, a manager out of this, It was, let me go make the best film I can make for myself. Let me go make art. And I think that that's an important lesson, because I do, running Stage 32, we get a ton of questions all the time. And what I see a lot is people have muddled motivations, I guess is the way I could put it.
Yes.
Everybody is, I want to make this movie because I want A24 to pick it up. Well, so does the rest of the freaking free world. Everybody wants A24 right now. Yeah, of course. Hopefully they'll pick this up.
Hey.
But everybody has I want to get a manager out of this, I want to get this out of this. It really should be, you should have a set set goals, or a goal, a primary goal, and stick to it throughout the entire process. Listening to your story, it's interesting, because I have a bunch of different projects going on right now, and one of them is something that I wrote probably about 5 years ago that got picked up, got bought about 1.5 years ago. And the company is financing it. The company that picked it up is financing the film. The money is there, and here we are 1.5 years later, and this thing is still not going. And there's reasons why it's not going. There's been a couple of directors attached. One of the directors was from Canada. We couldn't get the Canada incentives because he's Canadian, I'm American, so it limited the amount of production companies we could go to, so that ended up being a disaster. We attached another director who is probably better well known now as a producer. I'm not going to say who he is, but he had some pretty big hits, but those hits were probably about 10, 15 years ago, so he's known more as a producer than he is as a director. So the problem was that he couldn't attract the kind of talent. He attracted some nice talent. We had some good people attached to it, but it didn't bring the package to the point that the production company felt comfortable selling for him, that they were going to get back what they wanted to put into the movie. So we had to go a different direction. Now the film is being packaged by CAA, and they made a deal with CAA that CAA will take domestic and that they'll keep foreign, and now we're out to directors again. But it is a friggin' process. And my role during this entire thing is to get updates And, they have people call me and go, it's not like, so-and-so passed, or hey, we're going to go meet at CAA, and,
another meeting.
Another meeting.
Oh, the meeting.
I'm like, oh yeah, I love the coffee at CAA. It's fantastic. I'll drive across town. It's fantastic.
It's called the water bottle tour.
Yeah, I go for me, it's the coffee tour, So I'm like, and occasionally they know if I know I'm coming, occasionally they'll break out a bottle of Tito's or something. But the point of the matter is that, you're running around town to be told,
it's almost there.
Just getting there.
Almost.
They're getting there, or, you get the phone call and it's like, they're really, really interested, and it's all that. So contrast that against, I'm filming a documentary right now on the 69 Mets. We'll see if this, when I say we're filming it, we filmed footage. I'm dealing with my producers. But here's the difference, okay? Here's the difference. I'm in control of that, okay? I'm a producer on the project. If things go to hell, or somebody isn't showing up for an interview, or if the director has kind of gone off the rails a little bit and has lost the narrative, I can get in the middle of that and be involved in it. And there's something extremely rewarding about that. I mean, it was something extremely rewarding about the fact that one of the top independent production companies in town wanted my script. Mm-hmm. Very rewarding. And, hopefully it'll be rewarding one day and I'll be sitting in the theater going, if I'm not dead, watching this thing.
There won't be theaters. There won't be theaters.
There won't be theaters then. You'll be watching it. I actually should just watch it in my brain. That's it.
It's the best seat in the house, sir. It's the best seat in the house.
I don't get paid for that, but it's. That's rewarding in itself. But it's funny how your mind shifts a little bit as to, okay, well, what's the next thing I want to do? If I'm writing a script now, a couple of the ideas I've been circling now, some of them are more big budget that, would have to go to a mid-level indie or possibly a studio, and some of them are very small indies. And the ones that are the smaller indies keep kind of pushing to the front now because I'm like, I'll go do that. I'll control that. I don't want to go through this, crap again. Like, let this thing play itself out, and God willing, if it does, then they'll come to me for the next one. Like, what do you want to do next? What do you want to do next? But it's not happening yet. So I have to, so now it's about, controlling the content, controlling the situation, being able to manage it, including the money. Like, are we going to crowdfund? Are we going to go for private? Are we going to, people that I know that are in the finance, gap financing, and I can go to them with projects and say, what do you think? And it's a very, very different thing. It's a very different conversation. So, you guys are all here. You guys are all filmmakers. Like Alex said, this was a very rewarding ride for him because he knew what he wanted to do. He knew how he wanted to do it, and he's executed. And now what's really cool is you're getting to see, this is the fun part now, because now you have it out. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So now it's up to the public to judge it. Yes, sir.
So when do you start in this whole process to put a face or start to identify who your audience members are? Where in the process of creating your film are you saying, okay, this is Bob, this is the guy that's going to want to watch this, or this is Sally and that's her friend Francesca. They're the ones that are going to want to watch it. Where does that happen?
I mean, it honestly all depends on...
Can you put your mic up?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It all depends honestly on where you are in the stage of your project. So what kind of project it is. So if you're making a studio movie, it doesn't matter. You don't need to worry about your audience. If you're making an indie, then you should be developing the movie based around the audience, especially when you're at a lower budget, under 10 grand, under 20 grand, under 50 grand. You better know who your audience is, and you better know what audience you're going to tap into. Because I've been in post-production for 20 years, and I've delivered probably 50, 60 features in my career. So I've seen close up, front row, I'm at the end when they're exhausted and broke. So I see what happens in distribution, and that's one of the reasons why I opened up Indie Film Hustle, because I kept seeing filmmakers with stars, with budgets, $1 million, $2 million, getting destroyed by distribution because they had no idea. They were still in the mindset of the old model, the legacy model. And the legacy model works if you have money, but it doesn't work for probably 99% of the people in this room. It just doesn't work. If you're making a Star Wars movie, well, that's obviously that's a built-in audience. If you're making a Fast and Furious, the same thing. Even if you're making an Atomic Blonde, which is a rare new property in the studio system, but you have Charlize Theron and you have a director that people kind of know, but they can sell that and they pump so much money into it. You as an independent filmmaker can't do that. You've got to go much more niche. As they say, the riches are in the niches. So if you are making a movie, I always use this example.
Was that cheesy?
The riches were in the niches? No, I have no idea. If it was, I apologize. But I always use this example. If you're gonna make a movie about a vegan chef, okay? It's a romantic comedy about a vegan chef. I'm gonna make this movie one day because I keep using it as an example. You're making a movie about a vegan chef. Why in God's green earth wouldn't you go after the health industry, the vegans, the vegetarians, the paleo, all of those industries? Why wouldn't you create ancillary products like cooking courses, possibly a book, some online courses based around vegan cooking, package it all together? Because if you're thinking that your movie is going to be the only thing that's going to generate money, you're dead. In today's world, you have to create ancillary revenue streams. And there's multiple examples. I just did a huge article about this. Multiple examples of people building up small empires based on one doc or one feature film because they have all these other ancillary rights. So, I've danced in the studio system, but I live in the street, and that's where I basically, I'm at the bottom at Blade Runner. I'm there with eating the chow mein. I occasionally go up and visit the owl, but I'm generally at the bottom there eating because the food's better. But so I'm kind of, you know what I'm saying. But I'm kind of like pull myself up from the bootstraps kind of guy, and I'm like, I'm going to do it myself because now at this point in my life, I don't have the time to waste. I'm not 20, so I'm not going to do it all. I'm going to figure out how to do it myself and make a sustainable business model because you have to remember this is a business. Create a sustainable business model. You can do this again and again and again. So if you make a movie for 10 grand and you can sell it for 15, you made 5 grand. Can you live off that? No, but you can start. That's a starting point. You do 2, 3, 4 more of those over the course of the next few years. Now you start building an audience. Now you start building revenue stream. Now you have a library. But this one little thing that nobody likes to talk about that makes that work, and it's called work. And there's a lot of it needed. And knowing as many filmmakers as I do, a lot of them love to talk about the dream. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be famous because that's this generation. When Spielberg and Scorsese, no one even knew who directors were. Now everybody knows who directors are. So everybody wants to be a famous screenwriter, famous director, but they have to put in the work. And everybody that you see out there who has succeeded, they've all busted their balls. Because luck will get you in the door, but it won't keep you there. Bottom line. So if you see someone who's successful, there's a reason why they are, and it's generally because of work. Would you agree, sir?
I would totally agree. And as a 20-year-old myself, I'd like to give that perspective. No, you're 100% right. The thing that separates most people in this business is the work ethic. Because there's a lot of talented people, but a lot of talented people that don't want to put in the work, and a lot of talented people that think, if I build it, they will come, and that never works. Crowdfunding is the same thing. Crowdsourcing is the same thing. The one thing I would say is, you said, when do you start? And to me, it's yesterday, the day before, and the day before that. You're all already late. So am I, so is he. And the reason why is because there are so many people trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
What a lot of people don't realize, though, is you said, when do you start for a film? And my response to you would be, when do you start for you? Because there's 2 different types of branding.
Yep.
There's the branding of you, and there's the branding of your film. Now, when you're an unknown, and I talk about this with crowdfunding all the time, when you're an unknown and you start a crowdfunding campaign, the thing that's going to get you the donors is going to be the topic. So we'll take the vegan chef example here, okay? If I was doing this vegan chef movie tomorrow, Alex was doing it. If I was doing it, he would die at the end because I'm carnivore. If Alex was doing it, it'd probably be a happy man.
Yes. And my arteries would be better.
That's true. Well, we're all gonna die of something. Anyway, so the point of the matter is that, if I was doing that film tomorrow and nobody knew who I was, what I would need to do is I would need to go out to all those groups. I mean, you're gonna do this anyway, but as an initial start, let's say I was doing a crowdfunding campaign, I would spend 3 to 6 months on social media identifying people who relate to this subject matter. I would spend 3 to 6 months allowing my audience that I'm identifying to name a character, or to say, in the movie, my chef is going to cook a meal a specific dish. It's going to be this romantic scene, and he's going to cook this thing. Give me a recipe, or give me something that's really cool. And you crowdsource your audience that way because they feel like they have ownership in what you're doing. Okay, and that is a key word, by the way. It's ownership of what you're doing. So when you do your first crowdfunding campaign, or your first marketing campaign, even if you're not raising money, your first marketing campaign for your film, they are going to follow you because of the material. Then if you deliver on your promises, if you make that film and it's exceptional, and maybe it doesn't have to be exceptional, it's just very well done, and you follow through on your perks, and you're continuing to communicate with your audience throughout. By the way, crowdfunding campaign doesn't end the day of the last day of the campaign. It goes on forever. Those are people that you have to serve forever, okay? But what happens between your first campaign and your second campaign is they cease becoming fans of the project, but there's a transference of loyalty to the project, which now goes to loyalty to you. Now, if you want to do, your first movie is this vegan chef movie, and your next movie is a musical about, I don't know, pick anything. It's totally, something completely as far away as your first movie as possible. And I'm not a musical guy, let's say. I'm still going to follow you into fire because you did everything that you said you were going to do, and you did it with class and style, and you delivered and everything like that. And now I am a fan, not of your movie, I am, but I'm a fan of you. And that's what happens on social media. Now, that's work. Coming full circle to what Alex was saying. That takes a lot of work. One of the first things, I'll get to you in 1 second, but one of the first things I say in the crowdsourcing book is, if you are not ready to put in the work, put this book down. Because it really, really is work. Now, here's the thing. The work could be a lot of fun. The work of building an audience and interacting and engaging with an audience is a lot of fun. Because what ends up happening is, if this movie really means something to you, this vegan chef movie, and this topic really means something to you, you're going to want to interact with these people. You're going to want to be, part of the various communities. You're going to want them interacting with you. Mm-hmm. And if they're film lovers, all the better, right?
Yep.
So it's work, but it's fun work, but it's something you got to dedicate yourself to almost every single day. It's like I talk about, you guys, I'm sure that some of you probably are sick of hearing me hear it, guys that are on Stage 32 and watching these things, but I'm like, networking is a job.
Yep.
I treat networking like a job every day, just like I treat my writing and my producing like a job every day. I get up every day and I spend some time networking because it matters. Because in this business, it's a relationship business, and you never know when relationships are going to lead somewhere. And crowdfunding, crowdsourcing, building an audience, and all this stuff is all networking. Starts with it.
And I'll say one more thing before you get to your question. What audiences are looking for in today's world, what your customer is looking for in today's world, is a connection. There's too much noise out there. They're being bombarded with thousands and thousands of things every minute on Facebook, Twitter, on walking on the street. What they're looking for is truth, honesty, and a connection to that person or that project. No one is going to go into the fire for the next Fast and Furious. It's just disposable, good film's fun, but disposable entertainment. But This Is Meg, I'm not saying that's great, but people who really like it, they're connecting with it. They're connecting with my journey to make it. They're connecting with the journey of the character who now they've been introduced to. And that means a lot more than $100 million worth of advertising. And if you do it right, you could build a community around it. You could build a business around it that is mutual. Not just to take money, but you're giving back to them in a way that you have to serve. And as a filmmaker, that's one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give you is serve your audience. Don't try to cheat them. Don't try to be slick. Just be honest. Because honesty will get you a lot farther with any kind of story you're telling. A horror movie, a slasher movie, that kind of connection is what audiences are really looking for. And that's what will pierce through all the crap and all the other stuff that we're dealing with and have to be bombarded with on a daily basis. You had a question, my dear?
Yeah, I did my crowdfunding on Kickstarter,
Mm-hmm.
and I was curious for my next one. Do you say 10 pages to switch to Indiegogo? Should we stick with the same platform? Does that matter? I'm just curious.
It's funny, guys. I'm a little partial to Indiegogo because I know the guys really well, but I don't think it really matters. I think what matters is are you going to go, for example, Indiegogo, I think has more has the flexible goals and stuff like that, and the add-ons. I think they have a little bit more, they have some more tools and everything like that. I don't think that you're going to lose, as long as you're taking your audience with you and you know how to take your audience with you, I don't think it matters which platform you're on. It really comes down to what, some certain films play better on Indiegogo than they play on Kickstarter and vice versa. And if you go and you look at the genres, you'll be able to tell, what works better. To me, it's also the support that you get. I've done work with Kickstarter. I like them a lot. I'm not, the only reason I said I like Indiegogo is because I know the guys really well. But they're really very, very similar. I find that what I have found is I've seen a little bit more of a level of support from Indiegogo, more responsiveness.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the original question is concerned, I don't think it would. You're not going to lose your audience if you know how to take them with you. And again, it's all about just engaging them and moving them. Crowdsourcing at its most base, and I'm going to give this away, and don't still buy the book. At most base is really. It's very, very simple. There's a million definitions about crowdsourcing. I go through this in the book. When I was writing the book, Wikipedia, crowdsourcing, the definitions changed literally 30 times. Because nobody knows what the hell it is. And people have made up these definitions, and some of them are so freaking scientific that I'm sitting there going you got it. This one guy, an MIT guy, wrote this book that was the MIT card counting blackjack thing was simpler to figure out than this book. And it's very simple to me. It's all about identifying, engaging, and moving an audience. So you already had a successful campaign. So you already identified people, you engaged them, and you moved them. Now you're just going to engage them and move them again for the next project.
So what makes me curious, there were a lot of people that I knew. And then there were those who I didn't know how they found out about it or how they got to it. So I had a name actor in it, so that, but do you find that there's a better response on Indiegogo to push you?
No, and it's funny because for the baseball documentary I was talking about, I literally had an hour and a half call with the head of film, who again is a very, very good friend of mine. He actually wrote a book called Crowdfunding for filmmakers, which is very good. And he was explaining to me how that works. And a lot of it is algorithms. If you hit 30% within your first 7 days, they push, it kicks in their algorithm and you got a better chance of going to the front page. They get notified, of certain, they get a report almost every day of what films or what projects have momentum, and those end up getting pushed in newsletters and stuff like that. So again, though, what does that tell you? They reward you for bringing the audience. Mm-hmm. They want you to bring the audience.
Right.
And that's why I don't think Kickstarter does it either, but that's why they don't allow, you can't pay for front page placement, because that's not the game they're in. They're in the game of crowdfunding, and within every crowdfunding campaign, there is an element of crowdsourcing. And they know that, and they want you to bring the crowd. I hope that helped.
And I use Seed and Spark to do Meg. Seedandspark.com is a crowdfunding campaign that I use with them. They're really great. Man, Jesus. Sorry.
He wanted it on this thing. He didn't want to hold it.
I wanted to sit there, but you took my seat.
You talked about it to your left?
Yeah. So I use seedandspark.com. They're really great. They're built specifically for filmmakers. I really enjoy them. They don't have a huge base yet, but I was able to crowdfund depending on if you're going after $1 million, they're not for you. If you're going for seed, like a seed, and spark. And if you're going for 20 grand, 30 grand, 50 grand, they're a good choice. The other thing that I like about Seed and Spark is that they allow you to kind of do a registry for your project. So let's say I want to donate to your movie, but I really can't give you $50. But you need a camera, and I've got one. I'll loan it to you, and that goes towards your total. So that's a really nice way of going about it. You just got to hit 80%. So it's a really nice platform. On my next movie, I don't know if I'll use Seed and Spark. I might go Indiegogo just as an experiment to see what happens and see what the difference is. But they all have their pluses and their minuses. I'd probably stay, in my opinion, more with Indiegogo and Seed and Spark, because they're a little bit more film friendly, while Kickstarters, they're just a juggernaut and they've got so many other things. So you're against the toothbrush that's also a pencil sharpener, like as well as the next $100 million movie or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's
Product placement, baby.
huh? Product placement, baby. Exactly. So that would be what I would suggest.
I would also just add one quick thing. Do your research. If you're doing a niche type movie, if you're doing a horror, for example, go look at other horror, successful campaigns and ones that failed to find, to see why. A lot of times why 99% of the reason why crowdfunding campaigns fail is because people do the if you build it, they will come. They just put it up and they expect it to happen. They don't spend the time. But there are a lot of people that do spend the time and other things go wrong, or maybe the platform isn't as supportive of that genre and everything like that. So, do definitely do your research. Go into Google. Google is your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Google is your friend. And
They are our masters, man.
you are your friend. I tell people that all the time. Like, how do I register straight? Google is your friend. But go in and type in, horror Indiegogo or successful horror campaigns Indiegogo and research. And you'll be pretty amazed what you'll find, because not only will you be able to figure out which platform you want to be on, but what's really cool is you'll be able to see what kind of perks did they offer, what kind of, what kind of videos did they give out, and, what kind of content did they keep giving to their audience. But all those things matter, and don't be afraid to copy what's been successful, especially in crowdfunding, at all. Great artists steal. I saw a hand. Oh, sorry.
And one quick thing, there is no silver bullet for anything we're talking about here. With screenwriting, with filmmaking, with crowdfunding, there's not the one thing that me or RB are going to tell you, if you do this, you're going to get $500,000 on Kickstarter. It doesn't work that way. Every part of the film industry is work. Every part of it, from the very beginning to the very end of the process. You just got to do a lot of work to get to those places. Yes? Crowdsourcing. What is your definition of crowdsourcing?
It's exactly what I said. It's identifying, engaging, and moving the crowd. So the whole idea is that we'll do the vegan thing again. I mean, how do you identify people? The mistake that people make with social media, or let's say, or networking, more often than not, most people, and I say that generally, but I'm going to stay with that. Most people are broadcasters on social media. It is fascinating to me, still to this day, after 5 or 6 years of this, how many people will connect with me on Twitter and immediately shoot me their crowdfunding campaign, or not even follow me and throw it at me, or sign up for Stage 32, get my welcome message, which basically says, give, this is how if you want to get the most out of this community, you got to be a giver, give first, give second, give third before you ask, make relationships, build relationships, on and on and on. And they'll get through that message and they'll be like, here to raise money, how do I do it? Will you donate to my crowd? It's amazing. And I can tell within 2 minutes of the conversation at these kinds of events whether somebody's going to be a success or are they going to fail with what they're trying to do, because it's approach. It's all about approach. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about crowdsourcing and we talk about crowdsourcing a film, you have to know who your audience is. What the second mistake that people make outside of being a broadcaster, first and foremost, and not asking questions or sharing content or complimenting people, is that they, yeah. First thing is broadcasting. The second thing is... Well, yeah, being polite. I just lost my train of thought. I'll come back to it. But the point of the matter is that, I know exactly what I was going to say. So they carpet bomb. Because the whole idea of identifying an audience is that you want to be able to target people that fit your vegan movie, for example. Mm-hmm. So if you're coming to me and you're just following everybody, hoping to get follows back, and then, you get 100 followers back, but none of them are, targets for your vegan movie, and you start pushing out vegan content, and you're like, shit, I'm not getting any likes and retweets, like, this is a disaster. No, the approach is a disaster. So it's about identifying your audience. Then it's about engaging them. Well, how do you engage them? Well, you engage them with good content. You engage them really by asking questions of them. We had a network, this is kind of incredible, but we had a networking event. We actually did a screenwriting thing with Michael VC Productions. They're a publisher. They publish a lot of Save the Cat and Jen Versanti and Kaplan and all these guys. And we did a panel, and it was advertised as a panel and a networking mixer. You know you're there to network. And the question was asked, how many people are on social media? And about 20% of the hands, and there's about 150 people there, about 20% of the hands went up. And I said, how do you expect to get your content out there? How do you expect to, and then of the 20%, I said, how many of you are active? And it was like maybe 50% of that 20% that were active. And I'm sitting there, I was astonished. I'm like, you guys are operating in a vacuum. You guys are not, you're literally, when I was an actor in New York, we used to joke that, the actor that didn't want to be out there, that didn't go to the parties, that didn't go to all the events and everything like that, was sitting on his couch waiting for somebody to ring the doorbell and go, hey, want to be in my movie? And it just doesn't work that way, right? So you have to be out there, you have to be, identifying, and then you have to be engaging. And the engagement has to start and end with you. Ask questions, compliment people, share content. If somebody is sharing content that you really like it, share it, thank them for sharing it. All those things matter. I had somebody ask me a question, he's like, I got like 80,000 followers on Twitter. Like, am I supposed to respond to everybody? And I said, you're goddamn right you are. Absolutely you are. Because those 80,000 will go down to 70,000 to 60,000, or it'll stay at 80,000, your number will stay there, but your interaction will be nil. And you'll see that. Look at, look on Instagram sometimes, or look at Twitter, and look at somebody that's like, 80, 90, 100,000 people, and look when they post something and they have like one like. Well, because it's bam, 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 bam. It's nothing about engagement. So that's the second part of it. And then once you identify and once you engage, and the engaging is all the work that we talked about, the identifying is all your work, we talked about, then and only then, over your 3 to 6 months that you're starting your crowdfunding campaign, can you move them? Can you ask them, will you carry the message of this movie? Or if you've done a couple of movies before, will you carry the message of me? And that's powerful, but it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of freaking elbow grease, and it takes a lot of patience, but it takes, most importantly, and absolutely most significantly, to be a giver first. You gotta give to get.
Yeah, go ahead.
Talk a little bit about, yes, it's important to engage with people, but you gotta be a real person. You don't want to just be pitching your project all the time. So,
Right.
for example, I'm an actor, and I'm a community organizer, very political on Twitter, so I have these sort of different faces. And honestly, I get a lot more interaction politically than as an actor. And so can you just talk about how to spread yourself out to be a real human, so you're engaging on all those levels?
I mean, for me, I'll use my example. I have a personal Twitter that I barely do anything with. I do everything's through Indie Film Hustle. So that's my kind of personal Twitter. But I keep it pretty much on message all the time,
So you have, because I have multiple too.
I'll have multiple accounts, yeah, but I generally speaking, my personal is I am Alex Ferrari, and I have a company one for my post company, and I just kind of post, everything just gets spewed out through that outlet. I don't really feed those outlets, they're just there. But everything I feed is Indie Film Hustle. So, do I talk about politics? No, because that's not my brand. That's not what I'm talking about. It's not really, it doesn't make sense. Now, if I'm a political filmmaker, then of course I'm going to talk about that. So you kind of have to be on point with it. Now, it all depends on the kind of brand you're trying to build. If you're trying to build a brand of an actor/political activist, well, then that's your brand. And then you can talk about that stuff. And that is what you're doing. So you got to define what your brand is and who you are as a filmmaker or as a brand, because everybody in here is a brand of some sort, and you have to kind of embrace that and not shy away from it, especially in today's world. And it's only going to get worse as time goes on.
Just real quick, are you posting political stuff from your actor social?
I post political stuff on my personal account as being an actor, and then our show, I'm tweeting you guys live from our show account.
Mm-hmm.
Because that, you know what I mean? So I don't post politics on that.
Okay.
But it's that I'm running 2 accounts and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, sometimes it's annoying because people are just talking about themselves incessantly, and you want to see them be a person and not just pitch their project. So.
Yeah, but I think that you also want to, Alex is right about the branding part of this. I mean, unfortunately, for better or for worse, everybody looks at social media. I was in a casting, I couldn't believe it, and I almost hate to tell this story, but it's true. And so he needs to be told, we said it'd be raw and unvarnished, and it is raw and unvarnished. And there were two actors that came in, two actresses that came in, and they were both killer. They both nailed it. And at the end of the day,
How many followers?
how many freaking followers does the other person have? Now, I've also have seen where they've looked up the social media account and they've seen, I'm not saying this is you, but they've seen like political rantings and stuff like that, and and it's not about them and the brand, and they said, he might be difficult to work with. He might be tough. Unfortunately, it's out there. So Alex is 100% right. What do you want your brand to be? What do you want? It's okay to have the occasional, political discussion and everything like that. But if you're getting caught up in the firestorm of it in your acting account, somebody might look at that and say, I don't know. Do you want your brand? And when you sit there, when you say, okay, but you don't want to just be promoting your project. Well, again, that you could be sharing content. You found a great YouTube video that so-and-so put up about auditioning. Or, you read a great article on Backstage, or, hopefully on Stage 32, or you watched the video on Indie Film Hustle, and you're like, I want to share that. Or somebody else posted something, and you're like, that's great, here's my experience with that. Or you just share an experience. I went through an audition today, and, those things, to me, those things come back to you in spades if that's the brand you're trying to create. Look, I am very opinionated. I know that's shocking to everybody in this room. And I certainly have a lot of things that sometimes when I'm on Twitter, I have to really bite my tongue because I want to go after it and I want to, I see some stuff and I'm just like, mother. But I don't do it most of the time. And the reason is because, look, this is the brand. Even when, I'll tell you this story, even when I was in the first CAA meeting, one of the agents that was in the room, and I think she handles directors or whatever, she came over to me and she was like, man, great social following. So she checked it out before I even came in, or she checked it out during the meeting. And I was like, this is crazy. It's crazy, but people are looking, you know what I mean?
They ask for meetings now as actors.
Yeah, they ask for it. I mean, I've seen that with headshot. Can you write your Instagram account? Can you write your Twitter account on the back of your headshot? Crazy.
I'll tell you a story about me. So 2 years ago, I had 0 followers on a brand new brand called Indie Film Hustle. Nothing. I literally started from scratch, and I was out of the business for 3 years selling olive oil. Long story.
And a great one.
And it
is a great one.
Yeah. So I was literally out of the business, and I literally started from the ground up. And being in the business for over 20 years now, which is hard because I'm 20 as same as RB, that I'm fascinated to see how much traction I got the second my followers started growing, and the meetings that you get and the respect that you get, which is undeserved sometimes. I'm like, really? Because of the followers, the perceived followers you might have, the audience that you're building. It is absolutely fascinating. I'm sure like when I reached out to RB, God, almost a year and a half. It's been
more than that. Wow.
Yeah, he was number 13, episode number 13, if I'm not mistaken. Something like a 13 or something. He was 32. But he was early on. But I had already figured out a little bit of how to build up a Twitter following, and then also been building up my actual blog. And when I reached out to him for an interview, I'm like, hey, RB, I think we could do, why don't you come on the show? And I know you went and you checked out my site and you checked out my following. Not that he's like, oh, he's got followers, I'm going to do his interview. Not that. But then he started doing something very interesting. We've said this a few times on panels. He's like, I started seeing the interaction. I started seeing how I was responding to these people, that these were real people. These were real followers. And how I was handling my account. Because he's a little bit more sophisticated than your general agent. As far as social media is concerned, they just see a number at the top, they're like, oh, he must know 80,000 people. It's not that, but the interaction. So he understood the sophistication of what I was doing, and that opened up doors. And I can't even explain to you the doors that have opened because of Indie Film Hustle, because I gave back to the community. And I wanted to give back, and I wanted to help, and all that stuff. But building that audience up, it has opened up doors that I'm sitting right here. I know Danny and Theo, the guys who run Hollyshorts since the first festival, but we're here because both RB and here, we're not here just because we're good looking, obviously, but because of the followers and the communities that we've been able, because of the communities and the followers that we've been able to build. So it is very powerful and getting more powerful as the days go on.
Well, and one thing really quick that you said is so true, but looking at the interaction, 80,000 followers, 100,000 followers, 1 million followers, people buy followers, people go follow
Don't
for
do that.
follow,
Don't do
what I
that.
mean? So that's why I go and look at the interaction, and I look at the content. What are you sharing? What are you doing? How are you interacting with people? Are you being gracious? Again, are you giving first, second, and third before you ask? Those things all matter, and everybody is looking at that. I mean, people really are. I mean, there are people that get blinded by the number, but even here's really what's changed. Even like you talk about influencers, right?
Mm-hmm.
The influencer world over the last year, and I actually know people who rep influencers, and this is really interesting because I remember having drinks with them a year ago when they were like, man, let me tell you, I just signed this guy, he's got 1.2 million followers, and all this crap. And they don't get the interaction that they hoped they were going to get, the brands that they bring to them, they're not getting everything. Now they go for the micro-influencers. The guys that have, or the girls that have, 2,000, 3,000 followers, but the engagement is like 10 to 15 to 20%. Concentrated. All of a sudden they're getting the deals because it matters. It's an audience that they have organically built.
It's real.
It's real. And it's concentrated. Because, once you get to 1 million followers and all this stuff, it obviously can get broad. And maybe your message is very broad. Like maybe there really isn't a, concentrated. Like you look at a guy, I don't know if you guys know Gary Vee. You know Gary Vee?
Gary Vee.
Gary Vee, you know him, okay. Gary Vee's an interesting guy, man. I met Gary Vee at South by Southwest a few years ago. We had a conversation about like social media direction. And he was doing, he'd done his wine library thing, so he was still doing the wine stuff. And he's a Jet fan like I am. Unfortunately, we bonded over that. And, better for us, much for us. And, he was putting all that stuff up there. That was part of it. He was saying that's part of my personality. It can't just be business, like we were just saying, right? So he said, though, he goes, there's going to come a time, he goes, we're not there yet. He goes, where you're really going to have to drill down on your brand. He goes, right now the brand could be a little bit broad because, people want to know about your life. And if you look at his Instagram now, you will see that everything is an inspirational, aspirational, motivational, actionable post. And he'll still throw in a jet thing and he'll still throw in a wine thing, but it might be like 1 out of every 15, 1 out of every 20. That is his brand. What you won't see, and I know he has opinions on them, I know this for a fact, but you won't see the political postings. And he's got some strong opinions, but it's just not his brand. This is what he wants to go sell. He's a speaker now, he's in demand. And when he goes to speak, nobody cares if he likes Trump or if he likes Clinton or, maybe at the bar later. But they're there to hear him talk about these things. So just something to think about.
Yes.
This is just a question about crowd size. So say you want to crowdfund $50,000. You're doing a genre film, so for sword and sandals, something like that. And right now you have about 5,000 Facebook fans, 50% engagement. How big for you personally, how big a crowd do you want to have before you go into that campaign?
Depends on the kind of followers you have. You could have one really rich follower that handles everything for you.
Yeah.
When I did my crowdfunding, I had one guy toss in $2,000. I didn't even know the dude. He was a friend of an actress that was in the movie. I was like, oh my God. I had another one throw in $1,000. Then I had a lot of people put $10 in. So it's kind of doesn't make sense. I don't mean to insult, but the question's a little rough because you could have 1 million followers, but if they're all broke, it's not going to help you make your movie. Or you could have 10 followers that all have money and are willing to donate to your project. So it doesn't really, there's no number of followers again, there's no silver bullet to if I have 10,000 followers and I'm trying to raise $50,000 for a horror movie, all I need is 10,000 followers. It doesn't work that way. It's kind of who are these followers? What kind of engagement you are? If you do have just a bunch of other filmmakers trying to get their projects off the ground, that's another thing. A lot of people always ask me in the business, they're how do you make money selling stuff to filmmakers? I'm like, how do you do it? I'm like, I'm honest. And I try to give them valuable things. And same with what RB does. You know, a lot of people are like, but they're all broke. I'm like, yeah, I know. I mean, we're all, you know, it's rough. But you try to give value, as much value as you can. But that's the answer to that question, yeah.
Yeah, and I would just say with the $50,000 thing, I think be careful with that. Think about what your real number is, what you really need.
Yeah, that's another thing, yeah.
You know, again, I'll go back. I was talking to John at Indiegogo the other day, and we were talking about this baseball project. And this is, you know, a project on the 69 Mets. They're a New York team, but they're obviously a well-known baseball team. And their fan base is rabid, even though they suck. And again, I'm one of those fans. But I said to him, I said, you know, we're thinking about $75,000 that we're probably going to need for principal and post and everything like that. And, you know, a lot of that goes to licensing. And he said a couple of things that I would think about. Can you get those licensing fees down? He goes, if you said $75,000 for the New York, because baseball fans, nostalgia fans,
that makes perfect sense.
Fans. He goes, yeah, but he said the same thing. He goes, rethink that 75 for a minute. He goes, you could do stretch goals later, you could do all these things later. And what he said to me was, what's your following like right now? What do you got? You know, and I told him about our Twitter following, and I told him about, you know, and then, you know, here's some other questions you need to ask yourself. The first week of a crowdfunding campaign, I'm sure you went through this, is the Friends and Family Week, right? That's the week that you're gonna go to all your friends and family and say, put the money in, okay? Now, why is that week so important? You asked about Indiegogo and, you know, how do you get on their front page, whatever, in the momentum. And John said 30% usually kicks you in about, you know, to get at least on the list. Well, it's well proven, these numbers are not exact, but it's very close, that if you raise 25% of your overall raise in the first 7 days, you have about an 83% chance of being successful the whole way through. If you raise 35% of your raise in the first 7 days, you have about a 98% chance. So you're looking at raising close, you know, 17, 18 grand in your first week. Can you do that? Now, what other people will do, which is really great, is if you can raise hard money. So let's say you have a rich uncle that says, yeah, I'm going to throw $10,000 towards that project, towards the 50. Well, then you can take that $10,000 and seed your own crowdfunding campaign. You take that money and you put it in day by day. You know, some money the first day, some money the second day. So because crowdfunding is completely psychological for the audience. Mm-hmm. If they think it's dead, they're not donating. If they think it's rolling, they'll want to be a part of it. If they had the sort of impetus to be part of it to begin with, if they see that there's momentum, they're going to jump in. So usually when people have seed money, they work it like this. A little bit during the first 7 days to get to that 35%. Usually between weeks 2 and weeks 3, you lull. That's when you start peppering a little bit more of that money in, gain some more momentum. Maybe you introduce some more new perks and everything like that. Get the audience excited again. But these are all things you need to think about. A lot of people that do crowdfunding campaigns get enamored by the number. I need 50 grand. The question you always have to ask yourself, like I said, is, do I need it? And if you really need it, can I get to 35% of that by day 7? Those are the two questions you need to ask yourself.
And basically on a $50,000 budget, doing a horror slasher movie, who's in it?
Mm-hmm.
And how are you planning to make that $50,000 back? Because to make $50,000 self-distributing your movie is not easy. You better know what you're doing. And even with an actor involved, you know, there's a lot of, now we go into a whole other conversation about genre and actors and marketability and sales and all that stuff. That's a whole other world. But that's what a lot of filmmakers don't even think about. They're like, I need 50 grand to make my horror movie. Can you make it for 10? Because 10, you should be able to make 10 grand if you know what you're doing, even a little bit.
Well, and you better stand the hell out with a horror movie too, like your preview.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Because you're going to be up against ones that are going to be going for 5 grand and 10 grand, and they might have cut a killer trailer,
right.
Or you know, where it looks so fantastic, and they might say, well, that has a better, I have a better chance of getting that to the finish line, or helping them get to the finish line than I do here, and that's something to think about too. So that's why I always say, do your research, see what you're up against. You know, if you're about to launch, and you see that the 3 other horror movies launched that week, or you know, within the last 2 days, wait a few more days. You know what I mean? Like everything is strategy. Everything is, and a crowdfunding campaign, like I said, is for the audience,
mm-hmm. is
for the donors, is complete. It's a psychological yeah, you say impulse buy, it's a psychological bet for them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they see the momentum, they're coming in.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I get
You're next.
the engagement and everything is great. Wondering if there's a PR side to this, can you getting something up? Is it identifying micro influencers or whoever it is, like in terms of engaging with them, attracting them on their pages?
The thing is that, yeah,
How does that happen?
the one thing that I think is a good note for everybody when you're engaging anybody is what can you provide? And we've had this conversation multiple times. You know, if you're a filmmaker and you just run up to RB at a bar where he obviously might be at.
By the way, the bartender is not there right now, so if you want to go steal a drink. Oh, no, there he is. I was going to say, if you want to go steal one of those $24 drinks, now's the time.
But the point is, if you run up to RB and be like, hey man, I got this new movie and I really need your help in this and that, why in God's green earth would he talk to you? Like, he gets hit like that, I get hit like that constantly, which is it's hilarious that when people ask me, like, I need money, I'm like, I don't have it. So I find it hilarious. But you have to provide a value. So when you're walking, like when you're talking to a mentor, even, you know, like, I want you to mentor me. Like, why would someone waste their time mentoring you? Like, give them a reason. Give them something of value. So when you're trying to go after micro-influencers, you've got 10 followers on YouTube, and you go after a guy who's got 1 million, he's not going to look at you because you provide no value to him or her. You have to understand that dynamic when you're asking. When you're asking for something, you need to provide something. So now, because I've been able to build up what I've been able to build up with Indie Film Hustle, I provide value to someone when I go talk to them. So when I go pitch a big screenwriter to be on the show, I'm like, hey, here's my audience. I really think you provide value to my audience, and then my audience can provide value to your brand. And it's just very synergetic that way. And a lot of filmmakers don't get that. Like, they just broadcast. Anytime I get an email or a message on a crowdfunding campaign and I don't know who they are, I delete it. I don't even look at it. Because I'm like, you haven't even taken the time to even say hello.
Well, it's engage you, right? That's the engagement part.
And there's also filmmakers who contacted me and said, hey, I love what you do. I've listened to you all the time. So there's a little bit of engagement. Like, I'd love to be able to be on your show or write an article for your and 9 out of 10 times, I'll look at the trailer. You have to have a trailer. I'll look at the trailer and see if it's something of value to my audience. And if it is, I'll go write an article on 1,000 words. Give me this, and I'll publish it for you. Let me read it. If it passes the mustard, I'll pop it through. Simple, as opposed to just ask. They're providing something. And it's not like they're rich. They're not providing me their audience, but they're providing me education, providing me value that I can pass along to my audience. So value is not just money or followers. It's whatever I need at that time or that person absolutely needs. You know what I mean?
I couldn't say it better. I mean, value is everything. You have to provide value. Now imagine this. You guys are all filmmakers. You guys almost all of you probably had to raise funds for your film, or if you did it on no budget, just favors, you had to ask favors. You had to call in favors. Now imagine if every single one of you walked downstairs and walked out the door and stood in the middle of Hollywood Boulevard and said, at the top of your lungs, at the same time, I need help with my film. Give me money.
Definitely not the street to do that in.
Nothing would happen. In fact, people,
let's do an experiment. Let's do it. Let's just do it.
People would just think that you're a normal visitor to Hollywood Boulevard. But here's the thing. People do this on social media every day.
Every day.
So my tip to everybody is treat your social media, treat the way you handle, before you hit that tweet button or the submit button or whatever the hell the button is, think about what you're putting up, how people react. How would you react to this tweet? How would you react if you were sending this to yourself or somebody was sending this to you? How would you react, okay? The other thing is, you asked, how do you get these people? Do you need a PR firm and all? No. There are a million tools out there. Things like Crowdfire, write it down. Crowdfire, Managed Flitter, Hootsuite, that allow you to search by keywords and to follow people who fit those keywords. The other thing that you can do as well is you could find, let's say you're on Twitter and you find your vegan chef, and this is a guy with a lot of followers and is an engager and everything like that. Obviously, you're going to want to engage with that person and try to interact with that person, but you can go into one of these programs and follow their followers, because their followers are probably going to be your followers. Now, that doesn't mean you go look at their description, look at what they do, because on social media, some people just follow everybody and things get diluted and everything like that. But that is a very easy way to find your targets. With our 69 Met movie, we started our Twitter account from scratch. It was very easy for me to be able to, I ran the social at the beginning for Twitter. It was very easy for me to go find those Met accounts and then go into a program like Crowdfire and see who, lifelong FM, love the Mets, and follow those people. And it was easy for me to build up a following fairly quickly. So what does it require? Work. It requires time. The fortunate thing about following and unfollowing and things like that, or trying to engage people, is this is something that you could do while you're watching a game or you're watching Real Housewives of Topeka or whatever your thing is. You could do that during that time. But the point of the matter is you have to put in the work. It is work. It is time consuming. The thing that's easy though. The thing that's much harder is what Alex just said. It's providing value. It's taking the time to respond. Look, man, I'm busy. He's busy. You guys are busy. We have day jobs. We have night. We do things creatively at night. Everything like that. Even if it's one day a week, I will run through that Twitter feed, and sometimes it's 100 people I have to respond to, and sometimes it's just as simple as liking something they said, and sometimes it's taking the time to really thank them for putting something up or to show me something, or sometimes it's to eviscerate them for coming to me and asking me for money for their campaign when they're not even following me. But I take the time to do it, and it's important that you do. We have to get. He's been so patient. I'm waiting for him to bull rush the stage here and tackle me.
Before you say that, I just have one thing. One quick tip on how you can engage a niche, an influencer. Start following them on Twitter. Identify who you want to find, and then just start retweeting things that they tweet. And that's and not doing it like instant, but actually mean something for. Maybe write a little comment about it. I've had a lot of followers who follow me who constantly retweet my articles, and that, because I check my Twitter feed daily, I keep seeing them pop up, and that's a form of value. Whether they have 10 followers or 10 million followers, there's a value there. You're giving time, and it shows value to whoever you're looking at. So I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody, but it might work for some people. It works on me all the time, and then when they reach out to me, I'm like, oh yeah, you're the dude that constantly retweets all my stuff. What can I do for you?
Yeah, but if you retweet and it takes 2 seconds to say, thank you for posting this.
Yes.
Got a lot out of this.
Yes.
That's important to somebody. They're taking the time to share the content with you. You're taking the time to say, really appreciate it, got something out of it. By the way, don't be afraid, like I said earlier, to ask questions. Mm-hmm. Look, maybe 9 times out of 10, maybe, you might not get a response. But if you make it personal, and if you know something about the other person, it matters. If you could say, even like, let's say you're approaching this vegan chef that we love so much. I love this vegan chef.
It's a great movie. It's
It's fantastic. It's actually all coming together.
We're writing it as we speak.
So this vegan chef. Let's say this vegan chef is a vegan chef and he has a show on the Food Network. And, it's this great show and, whatever. And he has somebody on the show or whatever. Well, who would be your ultimate guest on the show? Who was your hero? What made you decide to become a chef? Or I read an article where it said that this person influenced you. Like, who influences you today? You'd be shocked at how many people will respond to that. Why? Because you took the time to do the research. Because everybody else is looking for something from them. You're not looking for something from them. You're looking to engage them. You're looking to thank them. You're looking to show some appreciation for them. Mm-hmm. Matters. Does it take a little work? Yes, but it's worth it.
The guy in the back. No, I'm joking. Go ahead.
So at the moment, I have a movie already made. It's a movie based on a true story about a guy who is disabled. He's double amputee, and he sees how the girl he's in love is dropped, and he starts to follow them. And the guy who did it in real life also plays the main role.
Oh wow! Nice.
What I wanted to ask is, he's getting a lot of attention in festivals. We even now got to qualify to apply for an Oscar. And we want to engage more audience, like disabled audience, but it also inspires people without like disability as well. And what I wanted to ask, the same like you already started just talking about those influencers and people who are like an influence and talk about your movie more. I don't know, let's dream big. I don't know, Ellen DeGeneres or something like that. So would you advise the same tactic that you start first engaging with them and then sending them the film that is already ready to you? Or
when they're that big, that I mean, you're not getting Ellen's attention.
Yeah.
It's not on social media.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen. When you're talking, you got to look at these micro influencers, much smaller people that you can actually, they're actually doing the work.
Yeah.
That's possibly the way. But when you're going Oprah, you know, like, yeah, it would be great. I'd love to be on Oprah, you know, and talk about my movie. You know, who wouldn't? Because she has a massive audience that she's built over the last 2 or 3 decades. But to go after those kind of people, it's pretty much impossible to get to them. But if you're really after Oprah, let's say, or Ellen, you could do the research and find out who's her producer, who's the social media person, who can you actually get to tell your story, who will listen to your story. And you do the same process with them, which obviously they're not as big, but they have influence, they can get you in the door. That's a possibility. And I've had that happen. I've seen that happen many times. But it's going to take work, you know, and it's going to take that pound to pound.
It's what I call a little run before you walk thinking. 2 steps ahead thinking. Alex is right, by the way. Getting to the producers, getting to the booking agent, everything like that. But think about how much more powerful it would be. And by the way, not everything has to be done online. If you're crowdsourcing and you're doing crowdfunding, your offline efforts, and this is another mistake that people make all the time, your offline, just because we live in an online world, get on the phone, identify organizations, identify companies, identify people, nonprofits, identify everybody and get on the phone. Don't send them a tweet. Get on the phone and say, but here's why it's a little run before you walk. You're getting attention for this movie. My goal right now would be to get as much attention for it, win as many awards, get as many views, I don't know if it's online anywhere, get as many views, get as much press as I can get for it. And then call Ellen's booking. I wouldn't even follow her. I would follow her on Twitter, that's fine, but I would call and say, look, this is a really interesting story. Very, very much like when people pitch a movie or they go in for an acting audition and everything like that, the big misconception is that the casting director wants to knock you out or that the manager doesn't want to like you, and it's the exact opposite. They have a job to do. They want to love you. Booking agents want to find that killer story, but what they really want, just in the same vein as why studios make nothing from original IP and everything's off of existing IP, is because it's safe. So what Ellen wants, sure, she wants to break that story, but what she wants is a built-in audience that really kind of knows it already. You know what I mean? That you're going to bring a crowd. Again, it's crowd. Everything in this world right now, I can't stress this enough, is crowd. You have to bring the crowd with you. You have to bring that audience with you. So the more you can do that, the more that you can, build that audience up and create the social proof for you, your project, your actor, and his real life story, the more people that they're going to fight for that story if they know that they have that kind of audience.
And generally, I think we got like 5 minutes left. So one other thing I want to leave you guys
with that. I'm here all night.
It's good. Let me kick us out. If you guys as filmmakers don't self-generate your own projects, your own audiences, you're done. If you want to play the Hollywood game, you want to play the legacy game, you want to pitch your scripts, and that's great. You can do that. And that's a route to go down. But as RB just said, he's got money, he's got a script, and it's a 1.5 years in. And that's a good story so far. He's farther along than 99% of movies trying to
It's
get made in the
fascinating.
system.
It really is.
Or you can do the Duplass brothers technique and do it yourself and build out your own stuff, generate your own projects, make your own series that you can stream on Amazon and build an audience that way. And or make your own indie movies that cost $5,000 they have to be good, they have to have good stories, they have to be technically sound, but self-generate your own projects, your own audience, because if you don't, you're gonna wake up one morning, you're gonna be 65 going, why didn't it happen for me? And I hate to be that rough about it, but it's the absolute truth.
It's totally true, and we were talking about it last night, the class video, I forget which brothers, which
Jay.
doesn't matter.
JD Blunt.
Well, it's the other one too.
No, Mark. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
Mark is the one
there's two of them, but one of them said,
Mark is the one who's talking about it.
Anyway, so there's a video to one of them, and he was talking about the fact that when they first got, they did their first short, and Hollywood came calling, and Hollywood, they got an agent. The agent was like, "We're sending you on meetings," and they went on every meeting, and every meeting they would come out of it, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, it's the greatest meeting. They want to make my next movie. This is freaking great." And I call home, "Mom, I just said," and that's what they did.
Sell the house.
And all of a sudden, a year later, he goes, all of a sudden, a year later, they were getting ready for a meeting. They're like, "Fuck, we didn't make anything. We haven't made anything." And then they made a movie with Paramount. They made a movie, I think, with Universal, I forget. But they were like, we got to kind of control things. But one day we just said, I'm going to actually post this video on Stage 32 next week. It's great.
It's a good video.
It's a great video. And it's only 3 minutes too, but it makes the point so elegantly. And he just basically said, they went to their agent and they said, no more general meetings. No more. And the agent said, what are you talking about? Nothing happens without general meetings. And they were like, no, you're wrong. Nothing happens with general meetings. We're controlling everything from now on. And now they've gone on and done their own TV and their own stuff and sold their own shows to Amazon and everything like that. And they just started controlling their own, and Netflix, and they built their own content.
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you. I've been nodding my head. Yes, I cut that out. So thank you guys so much.
Oh,
Such
our
great
pleasure.
detail.
Our pleasure.
Earlier in the conversation, you mentioned, Alex, that you did your campaign fundraising retroactively.
In the middle of, because the budget was so low on our project that I just pulled it out of my pocket. And also, I'm a one-man kind of band, so a movie like Meg can be made with a guy like me because I wore 30 hats, and I've been doing it for 20 years, so I have a lot of tools in my toolbox, so I don't have to hire a director or a DP or a colorist or a post-suit or a camera. I did a lot of that myself. So I just started the process, and then I was going to crowdfund. It wasn't like, oh, let's crowdfund. No, I was planning on it, but like, we got to shoot now.
Where are you going?
She's going to the bar. She's going to the bar.
I always want to do that to somebody. Where do you got to be?
But that's how I did it. So because
I was going to ask, did it differ at all in terms of your approach? Maybe some of the perks you offered. Did you give people a schedule of like behind-the-scenes bids that you wouldn't have done maybe had you crowdfunded prior to starting?
What I did a unique thing because, again, my audience is very interested in the process of making films.
Okay.
So one of my big perks was like, you'll get access to my membership site for free for 6 months, depending, or a month or whatever, which has 300 videos on how to write a screenplay, how to do this, and I keep adding more and more educational material. And then I also told them, hey, I'm also going to show you how I did this. And I walked them through it, and we have some behind the scenes of it. I'm a little bit behind. I still got to do more stuff on that. But that's how I sold a lot of it. So I knew my audience. I've known my audience for a long time. I know what the mind of an independent filmmaker is because I'm an independent filmmaker, and I've been struggling for the last 20 years. So I know my audience very, very well, and I know what they respond to. If I go, hey, do you guys want a T-shirt? Like, I don't think they care. But I would go, hey, do you want 300 hours of how to make something? Do you want the inside track on how I self-distributed this thing? So I know my audience that way. So that's how I did it. And again, I just kept the budget. I never released the actual number of the budget. Only RB and I know. Mm-hmm. But when I told RB's like he couldn't believe it. Because I knew what I was doing as far as the movie I was trying to make. I had very clear ideas. Like, I'm not trying to do anything big. I'm going to keep my movie small. I'm going to keep my budget small. And I just knew.
When your campaign to make like a huge jump up, was to cover costs?
It was covered, yeah, because even after we covered the cost of the movie, there's still distribution stuff, there's taxes by opening up an LLC you got to deal with. There's always extra cost. There's a DCP creation, all sorts of stuff. So there's a ton of stuff like that. Yeah.
I just want to say one thing. I would implore you to watch this movie. For a million reasons. One, it's good. But two, just to see everything that Alex was talking about. You talked about a $50,000 movie, and I said, I challenge you on that budget. Watch this movie. I'm not going to tell you what he made it for. What I'm saying is that he set out, we'll come full circle, right? You said that you decided, I'm going to make a film. And he went out, and he found a way to bring in the best talent, and he's got some great comedic talent. People from Mad TV, right?
Yeah, Mad TV, Reno 911.
Reno 911, great talent that did not get paid a lot of money, okay?
Yeah.
And got them together, got them to shoot when he was available to shoot and everything like that. The film looks great. It's on iTunes. It's being distributed on other platforms. I mean, he pulled it together, and that's what I'm talking about. But he was able to pull it together it's not only the pulling it together, it's the audience that he presented it to that was ready for it. So that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. And that's why I'm saying I implore you guys to watch it, not only for the entertainment value of it, but from the educational, what you can take away as filmmakers of how he did it, the way he did it, everything that you just talked about how he raised his money, how he kept it on, a smaller budget, but yet, and how he self-distributed it, which is pretty incredible. That's 2017.
Last two questions. So, go ahead.
No, you guys
battle it out. Go ahead.
We got time.
What's your question?
So, this is really interesting because I'm a stand-up comedian. Everything, like, you help each other. Like, this is like natural, everything yourself. So, it's really interesting to see, like, people are, and I'm sorry with the big, reps, but we don't even think about that part. We think about, all right, how can we get together and do stuff? That's why I want to see the film, because, but, like, how did you choose iTunes, and how did that happen, and why?
I chose iTunes, and it's available on Amazon as well. You can go either one or both at the same time. The one big tip I would give you is if you're going to self-distribute, don't try to spread it out over a bunch of different platforms right off the bat, because you dilute all the platforms. You don't make an impact on any of those platforms. Getting it on iTunes and getting it on Amazon is super easy. Getting your audience to go see it on those platforms is the other thing. What you want to try to do is push your title up in the rankings of whatever platform you're going after, because the higher you get up, you find new audiences. So if I get in the top 10 of iTunes, there's going to be people renting my movie or buying my movie who never even knew anything about me. So now I'm gaining a new audience. And that's what you kind of try to do and try to focus that, funnel it in. So I chose iTunes this time. I might do Amazon next time. But then a little secret I did is I marketed everything to iTunes, but I opened to Amazon as well. Just in case someone's like, oh, it's on iTunes, let me see if it's on Amazon. So I don't lose that sale, because those are the two big distribution. That's where everyone watches movies at this point. But that's the key for the reason why I chose it, as opposed to a lot of filmmakers who just go out to 10 and they don't do anything anyway.
Well, and this is why, real quick, this is why it's so important that you bring your own audience, right? Look at a film. Are you guys familiar with Okja?
Yeah.
Okay. So, played a Cannes this year. They bought it. I think Netflix bought it, what, $40 million? Something ridiculous. Something insane. Okay.
Yeah.
People told me, you got to watch this movie. Have you seen the movie, by the way?
Did you like the movie? I have them now as a carnivore.
I was going to say, I've seen the movie, and I'm still not in on this vegan chef thing. Have you seen it? You know what I'm talking about.
I'll work on it.
I thought it was good. A little muddled, but it was good. But here's the more important point of my important point of this, is that people are like, you gotta see Okja. Well, Netflix paid an insane amount of money for this, and I had to go like 60 screens freaking deep to find the damn thing. Because I figured it'd be like, up in the new release.
No, but your algorithm has not, there's no carnivore kind of program.
Hey, whatever the algorithm is, whatever the hell it is.
So RB will never watch this. We're not even going to show it to him.
But the point I guess I'm trying to get at is if they paid that kind of money for that film and for their platform, and it was one of the first originals that they bought straight out, and they played it again, and after the whole controversy, this wasn't going to get theatrical and all this stuff, whatever. If they're burying that 6-7 screens deep, what hope do you have if you're on Netflix unless you bring your own audience? So, in the book, and I'm not plugging the book, but it actually plays into this. There's a case study on a documentary called Mile and a Half. And it's a hiking documentary. The long story short on this is that it was number 2 after Hero Dreams of Sushi for the longest time on Amazon, because they had great, and the reason why, they had great crowdsourcing. They crowdsourced a year before they went on the hike, that they filmed the whole entire thing. The audience couldn't wait for it. It was the first film at the LA Film Festival ever. And think about this. This is a documentary about hiking the John Muir Trail. This isn't like, Cartel Land, okay? They had to open another theater and screen it in a second theater because the crowd came for it, because they were ready for it. On Netflix, that thing was always at the top because they brought the crowd. So they just kept pushing that thing to the top, pushing that thing to the top. You have to bring it. You have to be, it's so important. It's so important.
And last question?
It's just a simple question. What are your favorite hashtags to use? Like starting when you started out,
I
do
did
you guys
research.
have like a favorite, like a film? I'm like a collector of hashtags. I always want to know. I'm like, what's your favorite hashtag?
Vegan chef.
Vegan chef, obviously. No.
Talking about vegan chef, that's really funny. I wrote something called Morbid Kitchen.
Uh-huh.
I had a roommate that was vegan, but she was very angry. And I'm like, maybe you should eat meat. I don't know what's wrong with you.
I like it already. We don't have to write this film anymore.
No,
this is
the sequel to Vegan Chef. She gets really angry afterwards. It's really
I
bad.
know. So I was cracking.
This is how he dies.
Yeah.
But favorite hashtag.
Favorite hashtags. I mean, for me, it's the obvious ones. It's filmmaking, indie film, screenwriting for me, which I write. Those are the main. A lot of the obvious ones. Script chat a little bit for the screenwriting stuff. The problem with hashtags now, especially with the filmmaking ones, is that they become so. Everybody puts the hashtag up no matter what they're doing. They go to see a movie and they're like, filmmaking. And it's like, no, you're sitting in the theater. And, and it could be one of the Real Housewives of Topeka that's putting it up. To me, it's following accounts. It's following good accounts and good people and following people that put up good content. For me, anyway.
And also, thanks for the likes.
See? You're welcome.
I generally, with hashtags, just do research. Do research on the hashtags and see what's getting the most reposts and things like that. And that's what I kind of use, depending on what I'm posting. But generally, I try to keep it on topic, but just see what's working, and it works very well once you do it right and do the research. Again, you gotta put the work in.
Okay, now let's all go down to the little Hollywood Boulevard and beg people
and yell out and beg people for money. Anyone have a Spider-Man outfit? Anyone?
Body paint? Anyone?
Body paint?
No.
Body paint?
No. Okay.
One last?
Let's do one last.
One last.
I got yelled at to get off about 20 minutes ago. I don't care. We were late. They put us on late. Screw them. Screw them.
Oh, go ahead.
Screw them if they can't keep to a schedule.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
I have a Spider-Man.
Oh, you have the Spider-Man outfit. Fantastic.
That is fantastic. Wait. You want to do the body paint? No, okay.
Free
Damn.
anything.
Yes.
No, I want to thank you because I have to say that I felt that all those perks was such a pain in the ass. But now I see how really valuable they are to get that appreciation out to people. Because you do spend a lot of time and energy on perks.
On the perks,
absolutely.
again, talking to John yesterday, and I'll just tell this really quick because I put a successful campaign in front of him. It was a $200,000 campaign on a documentary about the first female director. Shame on me for forgetting her name. But the perks were the things that really stunned me. What they had, maybe 80 of them. And I said, tell me about this project. This is crazy. Now, some of them were for this amount you get this, for this amount you get this, for this amount you get both. So, some of those perks were kind of double up. But it was amazing to me how many, now obviously this woman is long gone, so they couldn't offer interviews with her or lunch with her or anything like that. But what they did was they got people to do replica art of things that she had created, because she was also an animator. And even the replica art did well. Also what they did was they brought in celebrities who were fans of her, not for them to meet and have a conversation about her, but to have a conversation about the celebrities. So what that did, I said, why, he goes, it's amazing. People will want to talk to the celebrity and donate to the project, even though they have no interest in the project, really, because they want the celebrity. So now people are starting to create perks that actually exist, really, psychologically, outside the project. So, it is important, and the strategy to use, Leomi, we're going to stay for another hour.
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
Drinks on me.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Everybody grab your cocktail. We're really going to the Villa Hollywood Boulevard now. So the strategy of the perks is very, very important. And I would just recommend, we said this earlier, just really quick, as a last little thing on perks, save some of them for mid-campaign, save some of them for week 2 to week 3, so that you go to your audience and say, these have just been added. And, you always want to keep the campaign fresh.
And one last story, real quick last story. I think you guys will enjoy.
Take your time.
All right. So, there was a interview that I did with a filmmaker, and I told you the story last night. You kind of shit yourself when I told you about the Range 15 guys.
I shit myself. Not much.
That's a little much. All right, fine. You were excited.
I raised my eyebrows.
You raised your eyebrows. Basically, there was a filmmaker who was not a filmmaker. He had built up an audience. He sold T-shirts to the military. Military guys, ex-military, and also firemen and police, and it's all veteran owned. So they're all veterans. So he built up this community for probably about 2 or 3 years. And then he did a YouTube channel, and then the YouTube channel they would do funny videos that were really aimed at their audience. Like you and I would watch it, be like, but they just dug it, and they had like a couple 100,000 followers, which is a pretty good following on YouTube. So they one day said, hey, let's go make a movie. We're like, all right, we'll make a movie. Not filmmakers, never made a movie in their life, other than the YouTube videos. They're like, all right, let's go make a movie. So they went and studied Super Troopers 2 on Kickstarter. Their campaign, because they raised $4 million on Kickstarter. So they literally copied that entire campaign in the sense of the way they did it. They were trying to crowdfund a movie that was a zombie comedy. Horror comedy, okay? On paper, it sounds fantastic. So they did this, and they wanted to raise $250,000. And they said, we feel comfortable, we can raise $250,000. When they went out to their audience, they raised the $250,000 in the first 18 hours. They ended up coming up with about 1.4 million when they were done. That's how rabid their audience base was. They wrote the movie and did everything that RB was saying, like, hey, want to name a character, hey, this or that. They put real Medal of Honor winners in their movie as actors. They put all veterans in their movie. Then they also got some actors, Keith David, William Shatner, Sean Astin, and of course Danny Trejo, because Danny Trejo has to be in all movies. That is the law. So they made this movie. They basically had it financed. Then they went out to the studios to get distribution. And he's my favorite story was like he met this distributor, like, we love your movie. We just want to redo it and cast Jean-Claude Van Damme in the lead. And they're like, well, but the movie's done. And all the distributors were given the same deal, like, hey, we'll give you 30%, but I'm bringing the audience. Like, why am I going to give you money? Because these are business guys. They have a multi-million-dollar T-shirt business, basically. So then they found a distributor, and they decided, hey, we're going to distribute ourselves. They went against everything iTunes said, because they said, iTunes was like, how much are you going to put it up for? They're $19.99, which is the top of the top. Only the studios price their movies that high. And no rentals allowed. And they're like, you're crazy, you'll never make any money. They got to number 2 on iTunes. Only they couldn't beat Angry Birds, which pisses them off to this day. But they literally got on the top 10. The studios were like, who the hell are these guys? About a zombie horror movie. They went on to make over $3 million and still making money to this day. Not to mention all the ancillary revenue streams of T-shirts, Blu-rays, posters, and hats, because that's what their audience wants. If you want to know more about it, just go to indiefilmhustle.com and type in Range 15. It's an amazing podcast, really great story, and we break down everything. I asked them about every aspect of that process. But it can't be done. But what's the common denominator in that? Audience. And they knew their audience, they built it for their audience, and they sold it to their audience.
I'll be honest, you shit themselves.
All right, guys.
I think that's it.
I think they're going to kick us out.
We're finally getting played off.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
I hope you guys got a lot out of that episode and out of that talk. There was a lot of great knowledge bombs tossed in there. And I want to give a big thank you to my brother from another mother, RB Botto from Stage 32, and also the boys over at Hollyshorts, Theo and Daniel. Thank you again for inviting us and giving us the opportunity to speak at Hollyshorts once again. And if you guys are in the LA area and you want to see This Is Meg on a big screen, we're closing night on Saturday night at 8 o'clock. I'll put ticket information in the show notes at indiefilmhustle.com/175. And there is a discount for the tribe, of course, which will be in the show notes. I hope you guys are there. The entire cast is showing up. It's going to be a big, big party. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of pictures. We might have some video of the event. But you know what? Honestly, it is the most amazing thing to be LA premiering my little movie, the little movie that I did with Jill at the TCL Chinese Theater, the world famous Chinese theater. It's kind of surreal. It really is surreal. So I really would love to have you guys out there and enjoy that with me and with the crew and with the cast. It'll be a lot of fun. And I've been working feverishly on the redesign of indiefilmhustle.com. I cannot wait to show you all the stuff I've been working on. I think you guys are going to be really excited about all the changes I'm going to be making to Indie Film Hustle. And you guys are going to be able to find content much faster, a lot of special bonus stuff, a lot of special content that I'm creating, as well as the revamp of the Indie Film Syndicate, which is coming very, very soon as well. So there's a lot of stuff I'm working on, guys. I cannot wait to show it to you. Hopefully we're a few weeks out from the relaunch of indiefilmhustle.com. And of course, you guys will be the first to know. As always, keep that hustle going, keep that dream alive, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Indie Film Hustle podcast at indiefilmhustle.com. That's INDIEFILMHUSTLE.com.